Oh, hi there. I have a theory of which I have no way of proving. Um, what it is, the Liberals lost the vote. Um, Horgan is going to be the next premier. Um, it was close. I forget what the exact number was. It was like 42 to 40. So obviously the Liberals would still have some sway in the BC Parliament. Um, my thing uh, that I am leaning towards believing, it's not mainstream thought, that's for sure. I haven't seen one damn thing on the internet or the television to indicate this. I don't know anybody who worked in the Liberal Party. Actually, coincidentally, I had a neighbor one time, long time ago, at my old house that works for the Liberals, Wilkinson, believe it or not, by coincidence. Anyway, I think Christy Clark knew that she would stand a good chance of losing, and if she didn't play ball, she was going to lose a lot more. I think she turned on our party, or certain members of the party, for say, um, because the thing is, the Liberal Party is, you know, like all government parties, it's similar to that of an octopus. There's the head, the beak, and the tentacles. Now the tentacles are the stupid part. They're just there to do administrative parts, and then the real thinking's in the head, and then there's the chompers that get down to the nitty gritty. Um, Obviously, there are going to be sectors of every party that don't necessarily agree with leadership on certain subjects. Just because somebody's in the Liberal Party doesn't mean that they like the direction that the Liberal Party's going in. And you go, well, why would they work for the Liberal Party if that was the case? When they joined the Liberal Party, first of all, they didn't know anything. They learned it over the years. The Liberal Party changed over the years. Different leaders, different politics were in place. And for them to just go, right, I really don't like where this is going, I'm leaving, you would think that would make sense. But then where are they going to go? You think the NDP is just going to open up the door for them and let them go there? Not if they don't have something to sell them. And I think the Liberal Party was in the midst of a somewhat civil war, is what it was. And Christy Clark did the smart thing and conceded to Horgan. I think that's really what happened. And in doing so, she took the back seat, but she's still in the car, as opposed to potentially losing and being pushed out altogether. There are certain advisors that she would have had that would have followed suit. There's some that would be completely oblivious, like they're peons, they're nobodies, they're going to be out of a job now, because that's just the nature of capitalism, business, corporation, and all that sort of stuff, and it's all roped into politics. So, um, my theory is that Christy Clark sensed that the Liberal Party wasn't going to be successful, and she jumped ship, and she did it in a graceful manner. I'm not saying she liked the decision. I'm saying it just probably made economic sense to her, because they'll never admit it, and it most certainly doesn't say on the YouTube. And the fact that, the Liberal Party is filled with bureaucrats, they're all bureaucrats, they will just all just lie. You won't be able to get an answer out of them. And they lie to each other too. You think all bureaucrats, they don't lie to each other. They lie to each other all the time. That's all they do. And that's how they maintain their power because they can't be honest with anyone. And they're treacherous, they're scheming. Um, in some ways, it does make sense. It's almost like they're the star screen to the Megatron. If you're at all familiar with Transformers, and I don't mean the stupid parts of when Starscream was second in command to Megatron. It's actually not a bad story. Anyway, um, I yeah, as I was gonna say, the liberals would never admit it, but the U.S. presidential election played a big factor. It would not surprise me at all if many Liberal Party members supported and put money in and resources into Hillary Clinton winning the presidential election. A lot of people thought she was going to win. And the thing that I mentioned in some of my hockey videos is that when you're in positions of power, inner circles, and all that other sort of stuff, and your goal is to become more powerful and make more money, you take interest in other things that are going on. Presidential election, very significant. And Hillary Clinton lost. That was about 6 months ago now that really came into effect. And these things take time for government agencies to make decisions on things. It doesn't just happen overnight because it takes a lot of bickering, squabbling, arguing, and unpleasant conversation. Uh, like that's the price you pay for having that kind of a job. So, I mean, all those schmucks at the bottom of the barrel who are, bureaucrats that are, low level of the government institution, I don't feel bad for them that they're out of a job now. I really don't. Because had they evolved in their thinking and became stronger, they would have been fucking even bigger assholes. And they were big enough assholes as it was. Uh, Christy Clark, uh, yes, as I said in my other video, I'm sure she's very nice in certain ways. I think she's done a very good job as a premier in BC. On the other hand, I completely despise her because she's done other things. She was the face, a pleasant face for an evil corporation or a series of evil corporations followed by an evil government. And they do bad things a lot. And they disconnect themselves from regular folk problems because they have extensive knowledge of current situation, historical situation, um, that genuinely how to rule over people. They know all this stuff, and they just regurgitate the simplistic version of everything to us. And since most people are just peons working in their grocery stores like I am, um, we're not in the loop. We're not able to learn about this stuff. And then they leave us in the dust and we know nothing and they know more and more and more and more and more. And that's the way how they operate. They do so in secrecy and uh, yeah, there's just not enough people to stand up against them. Uh, I mean, they're really not that intelligent. They're just underhanded. But like Christy Clark, like I said, she had a cult of personality. She was the face of this particular government, and people were pushing her in all kinds of directions anyway. There was a shadowy elite that controlled her, because that's the thing about all mainstream, on the television, in politics, all that cult of personality types, is that they're not entirely in power. They have an inner circle above them that tells them, no, you can't do that, no, you're doing this, that, blah, 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 blah. And the actual cult of personality figure does have a lot of sway, but things don't always go their way, especially when they lose. Like I said in the case of Danny Heatley. And I did think about it. I think I am going to put him on my San Jose jersey. Um, my friend didn't recommend it, but he didn't stop me when I went to explain my rationale behind it. He's much older than me, so he knows um, what was going on in his situation. Anyway, that was another topic. Um, I think what the Liberal Party and Christy Clark jumping ship is that there was an air of sexism when Hillary Clinton was running for president. A lot of people wanted her to be president simply because she was a woman. And, I could see, basically bitter old crows at the top of the pyramid going, well, women have not been in power and, have been mistreated a lot throughout history. And this was the first opportunity to see a female US president, and it didn't happen. I could see their own personal bias being a reason for wanting someone like Hillary Clinton to have won. It not necessarily politics, but it really boils down to a petty sexism thing. Um, Someone like Christy Clark, however, I don't think she's sexist. And in fact, this move she made to basically concede to the NDP in Horgan, um, in my opinion, this is just a theory, um, shows that she doesn't hold any ill will against men like a lot of other women in power. A lot of other women in power have a very strong bias against men. And they've hated us for a long time. They think we're arrogant pricks, and in some ways we are, most certainly. Um, I don't associate with the ones that are really bad, um, but I can be a bit of a prick myself, so that's completely different though. But like Christy Clark has probably lived rather pampered life. She has no personal reason for disliking men. In fact, she's probably treated like a little princess, actually. Um, Life wasn't without her challenges, but I don't think that she really had it that bad. And she's not out of power. Like I said, it was very close. The vote was very close, and the reason they made it a point of saying it's really close on the television, saying 42 to 40, well, that's just a figurative number. That could mean anything. That's just the propaganda number they say on the television to say that it was close. And what it really means is that the parties were integrating. People were getting kicked out. Other people were getting promoted. And liberals were joining the NDP. And the NDP as a whole is what's in charge, but there are individuals in both parties that are out of a job and others that have been promoted. This is all just a working theory. Based on what little information I have and the fact that I know zero about, you know, the inner workings of a political system, I'm just working on what makes sense. When you watch something on TV, no matter how simplistic it is, what's the message they're sending? What is the idea? And, like I've said before, if the bar is set too low, that is a disadvantage for them. even though they think, well, no one will ever be able to think of anything that could even be possibly true, they're wrong. Because it's not that hard to think of theories that could be true and are noteworthy conversation. Um, like guaranteed fact. This is a fact. Um, Christy Clark is not out of power completely. She's not the face of the BC government, but she's not out of power. And that is a fact, whether people want to believe it or not. If you don't want to believe it, you're just stupid. Um, People like that, they don't ever just leave power. Uh, they'll always hang around, uh, and then um, they'll want the next generations of followers to go along in their footsteps. That's that just makes sense. Um, so yeah. Anyway, Christy Clark. It was very easy to hate on her. I knew people who hated her because they'd watch the television and hear she's doing this, she's doing that. But the television is a propaganda machine. Um, do you think Christy Clark is there behind the computer going, this is exactly what I'm saying, and then that exact thing she said goes on a billboard and that's what happens? No, it doesn't. She makes a decision and she has advisors around her and she has people who can tell her, no, you're not doing that. Yes, you're doing this. And it's a combination of a bunch of people making a decision. And one person, no matter how much knowledge you have in the subject, cannot make the whole machine move on its own. That's why, like, someone like Donald Trump, they're saying, oh, he's ineffectual, he's ineffectual, he's ineffectual, he can't get anything done. Look at him, he's a failure and everything like that. He is the president and Hillary Clinton is not. That makes him the winner and Hillary Clinton the loser. It doesn't matter what some lowbrow CBC television network says. It just doesn't. But they repeatedly smash that message home into people's heads. And the fact that they rely on people, basically being vegetables out in the backyard with no brains, and they think they can just come along and pick people out of the ground and do whatever they want. No, you can't do that. Uh, there are going to be people who are going to stand up, and if you think what I'm saying is credible, has any legitimacy to it at all, or worth talking about, then just you wait until other people, similar to myself, but with more knowledge, come up with opinions of their own that contradict the official narrative coming from the government. Um, then you watch out. I'll tell you what. They'll tell you what's going on, and they'll say it in a plausible manner. And the simplistic lies that are surrounding the government and the political system, they'll all come crumbling down. Because, as I said, the bar is too low. You can't suppress intelligence that easily. The thing is, throughout history, when governments have been unable to suppress intelligence and not been able to enforce their agenda, they turn to brute force. Pathetic trait. They've become the fucking gorilla that feels intimidated because someone took one of their damn bananas. Pathetic. They're just a bunch of fucking apes. And if any person who has any worldly wisdom comes around and starts talking shit in your ear and fucking telling you a fucking narrative that just doesn't make sense, and they should know better, because they feel, well, he's better off not knowing, he's better off having a confused, mixed opinion about it, but he should go back to tending to his garden and his vegetables. Um, you know, why should you trust someone like that who insists on talking to you like you're stupid? Because anybody who makes it a point to talk to you like you're stupid all the time is up to something. I don't know what they're conjuring, what they possibly could get up to. I don't know, but most certainly something. Um, yeah, this is very very complicated, and yeah, I don't know what else to say. Um, so I'll just say this: Christy Clark is not out of power. I believe she jumped ship. She's in secret working with the NDP, if for no other reason because she doesn't want to leave power. Um, so she's forcing herself into the NDP at very least, if she didn't agree to integrate sectors of her uh, Liberal Party into the new NDP government. Uh, Assuming that didn't happen. I mean, anything could have happened. We weren't there to see it, and the people that were there to see it will not tell anybody. And as far as common everyday folk like us, um, for whatever reasons, they keep things distorted and vague, generic, uninteresting, and they're able to do this so that they can rake in all the money for themselves and better themselves. So anything good that Christy Clark did, she also benefited herself much better than she did for anybody else. Not saying she didn't work hard for where she got to, but we don't know that. But I'm not saying that she didn't. But yeah, a lot going on, and this is just a possible theory. Um, yeah, you guys do what you want with it. Anyway, talk to you later. See ya.